You are listening to Balloon Killers. I'm your host, Chrissy Riley, and each episode I'll be talking to someone from the world of cowboy mounted shooting, which is one of the most exciting and fastest growing equestrian sports. Hold on to your hats because it's going to get western. This episode is dedicated to Toby. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I hope that you're all getting in some quality family time. That seems more important to me now than ever. And today I am feeling so much gratitude. I really do have so much to be thankful for. Good horses, good people, both family and my shooting family, the vehicles and trailers that I have to take my horses to the places that we go, the means to have the necessary equipment for the sport and to pay the entry fees, and so the list goes on. Really feeling all of that gratitude in my heart today. Looking at my social media, it seems like EHV1 has thrown some spanners in the works. I've seen a few shoots cancelled, and we had to cancel a practice here in Colorado. But, I am just grateful that all of my horses are healthy, and I'm grateful that they found a way to keep the NFR running, because that's the highlight of my year, and I'm going to the finals this year. So grateful that that's still happening. And you know what? This too shall pass, because it always does. My guest for this episode's lovely mum was my first ever guest on the Balloon Killers podcast. Biven Chapman is the daughter of legends Dee and Paul Chapman, and she grew up mounted shooting. She's won countless titles and has achieved numerous accomplishments over the years, but most notably this year she took home the overall ladies world champion title at Worlds. I caught up with her on her Thanksgiving travels back home. Hi, Biven.
Hey, how are you?
I'm not bad, thank you. I hear you are traveling somewhere for Thanksgiving. Where are you heading?
I am. We're leaving Texas, headed to Colorado for Thanksgiving to spend some time with my family.
Lovely. Well, you've been shooting most of your life at this point. You must have many, many memories. What are some of your favorite memories from over the years?
I think a lot of my favorite memories have to do with the people that I got to spend them with, and a lot of relationships that I got to carry forward through the years. But I think one of my favorite ones was getting to experience the win for my best friend Gracie Daniels winning. She won Rookie of the Year in 2019, and so I got to celebrate that win with her, and we've kept our friendship since then, and so that was a really special one. And then probably a win I got to share too was when I won AQHA Youth World when it was still in Texas. Between Daniel Boryak and I for 1 and 2, we had a 1/1000 second split, and I think that was a pretty special win. Really for both of us, because I think that win could have gone either way. I think that thousandths of a second, you really can't control that. And so I think that was a really cool win, for both of us to celebrate. And so I was glad I got to share that with him.
Which was the horse that you rode for that one?
I was riding DW Dash of Whiskey Whiskers that I won CMSA World on this year.
Your dad usually rides that horse, right?
Yes, he's kind of taken over since I've been roping a little bit more. And they sure make a great team.
What was it like growing up through the Wrangler program? Was the Wrangler program around when you were really little, or was it introduced as you got a little bit older?
No, it's been around the whole time that I've been shooting. I know that there's been different divisions in the Wranglers, or kind of a junior class for a middle ground between the Wranglers and, being a ladies one or a men's one early on. But that was never anything that I was around for. So when I was a Wrangler, they did have the limited Wranglers and the open Wranglers, and I was entered in both. I hit all of the age group. But one of the people that was most impactful in that was Donnie Sales. he was in charge of the Wrangler program and was at all of the majors in charge of the Wranglers. And he was always in my corner and supported me.
Yeah, I interviewed him a little while ago and he had a couple of stories about you, which were really cute.
Hopefully the good ones, right?
Yeah, and every time you do something great, and I know that you had a really successful Worlds this year, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I know that when you did have success at Worlds, I think Donnie posted something really sweet as well.
He did. He's always been a very kind soul and always supported me and encouraged me to do my best and very encouraging of everyone. He seems to be in everybody's corner and he's a really, really good person to know in the sport.
Well, on the subject of Worlds, you, of course, took that title this year as a ladies level 6. Tell us about the run up to Worlds this year. How did you prepare for that?
Thank you. It's kind of funny, but I really didn't plan on going or shooting. I haven't really shot consistently in maybe 5 years or so. I've kind of switched directions and into be doing some more breakaway roping. And there was a shoot in Duncan, Oklahoma this summer, and my mom was going on her way back from Tennessee, and I thought it would be a good chance to get to see her over the weekend. And so I told her I'd meet her up there, and I shot on one of my breakaway horses at that shoot. And so I got some points there, but I still didn't really plan on going to World or, doing a whole lot with it. I just thought it was a good opportunity to spend some quality time with my mom and enjoy the weekend with my horses. So anyway, some more time rolls around, and I was just got to thinking about it. I had a free weekend in early October, and so I thought I'd go to Vernon, and I was like, well, I guess if I'm going to go to Vernon and hang out with my parents, and World for the finals would be in my backyard in Amarillo, I might as well go. So really the most preparation was working with my job and figuring out a way to schedule my lunches where I could drive up to the shoot on my lunch hour. And my parents actually did more of the preparation than I did. And they fed the horse. They brought me a horse first off, and let me steal one of theirs. And they saddled my horse, warmed him up, fed him every day for me. They had my guns ready for me and handed everything to me for me to go in the loading pen and go make my run. And so I drove up there, which was a 25-minute drive. So I had 10 minutes to make 2 runs at the shoot and make 2 runs there. And so I guess most of the preparation had to do with other people, less me, because I guess I didn't really give it much thought. But I had a good time anyway, and it was really fun. So probably not nearly as much preparation as you'd advise somebody for sure. So
well, maybe that's the secret right there, Biven. Maybe because you had no expectations and you went in very cool, calm, and collected, it helped you to kick butt.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So tell us about actually at the event when you started to realize that you might have been in with a chance of taking the title. How did it play out for you over the course of the event?
Because I was going up there on my lunch break, I was rolling in pretty early in the match, and I really didn't have a clue who was on top or what happened. I really just made my run and left. Ideally, no matter if I've been at an event, the whole weekend or, normal circumstances, I really don't try to pay much attention to my competitors or what they're doing just because I really can't control it. It's more about making my own run and just see where the cards all lay. But that's kind of what I did. I knew that I had made 4 solid runs going into the last run, and I knew I just needed to go do it again. None of my runs blew anything out of the water. I didn't have the fastest time on a single stage. I didn't think I didn't really know. I didn't think I really just laid it all out there. I thought I just made some good solid runs, and if the last run put it together for me, whether it was in my class or overall or whatever it might have been, I was just grateful to be there and grateful to be hanging out with my family and good shooting friends that I hadn't seen in a while, and really just grateful for the opportunity. And so I think really and truly the first moment I realized that I might have had a chance was after my final run or during my final run. I can't really hear anything while I'm shooting. I guess I'm in the zone. I switched guns and I was finishing my run, and I could just hear everybody in that arena getting louder and louder. And it kind of gave me chills, really. But I finished my run, and everybody was just going crazy. And I felt like it was a fair run, but I was like, man, maybe I did do something there. And I walked out of the arena, everybody screaming for me, and I think that was probably the first time that I thought I might have had a chance, and I didn't know what it could have been, whether it was first or second or class or whatever it might have been, or I don't know, maybe they thought I looked funny or something. I don't know. I really didn't have a clue, but that was, I think, really after it was all said and done was the first time that I had an idea that I might be having a little bit of a win or something like that. It gave me chills. So I felt pretty grateful. I had a lot of supporters and people that were cheering me on, and it was really cool.
Well, given how successful that you've been in mounted shooting and also in other disciplines, which we'll get to in a minute as well, you really must have your mental game down. And I have this picture of you. I was actually working the gate when you rolled in a couple of times in the
Yes.
second arena. I think you were rolling in around the ladies 3 or the senior ladies 3 class or something like that. And you just were so cool as a cucumber. So you really must have your mental game down. How do you prepare mentally for competition? What tips do you have for us?
I think the big thing is simplifying everything. It's a pretty big topic, I do think. I do think that 90 to, or more percent of the competition is our mental game. I think it's huge. I've been shooting a long time. I've been shooting since I was a little girl, and I think kids have the best mental game. I think, like, as a little girl, I had a need for speed, but I had nothing to worry about. Like, I always had great horses, and not on a bragging level, just, we always say, like, oh, to be that young again. We worry about every little thing for no reason. But as kids growing up in the sport, I did get a lot of exposure and a lot of practice and a lot of essentially getting patterned or whatever you want to call it in shooting. And so I got a lot of practice when I didn't have a lot of care in the world. So I think kids have something that we should all learn from as adults. But when I started shooting, when I got to the age of 12, when I started actually shooting out of the Wrangler class, my family and I had the opportunity of going to some clinics with Kenda, who spoke greatly of goal setting and how important mentality is. And I think from there was when we really honed in on that piece of the competition and our readiness to go shoot. That's kind of evolved, and really kind of taken that, and I've had to apply it more into breakaway side of things, just as that's being a new event. But I think mental game is huge. I think it doesn't just apply as your readiness right before your run or how you're thinking about approaching your run or during your run. I think it's your everything. I think it's the way you carry yourself outside the arena. I think it's your confidence. I think it's your positivity and your outlook. I think it affects everything. One of the greatest rodeo athletes, I think, Trevor Brazil, in an interview with Dale Brisby, talks about this subject and says it very well. And I hope I can do his words justice. But to summarize it, he says that in any sport, there's more losses than wins. But when you're losing, you can't let it get to you down, because you must be just as ready to go win the next time. And he says the opportunities in our events are sparse. And what he means by that is he was comparing it to basketball and how the free throw line is always the same distance and the temperature in the court is always the same and the game is almost always the same. But like in mounted shooting or rodeo, it could have rained and the ground might be slick or deep or whatever it might be, or it might be hot or cold, or maybe we're at a different elevation shooting and our ammo may not carry as far, or there's all sorts of different factors that we have to take into effect. And so the losses might be greater than the wins, but we just have to be ready to go win, and we can't let it beat us down. And so I think that's a huge thing that we have to practice. It's not about your preparation. That's about uncontrollable factors that at the end of the day, I think we just need to simplify our game and realize that we're here because we get to be here, and we're so blessed by the horses that we get to ride and the opportunities and the people that we're surrounded by. And so I think that has affected my game and my mentality going into competition, any competition, more recently than that. I kind of look at my competition that way, that I'm grateful for the opportunity and I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to give it 110% each and every time, never going to hold back, never going to safety up because I get this opportunity. But I think too, when we handle our our mental game like that, and we handle each run like that, I think we owe that to our horses too. Give it our best shot and go at it with a good attitude, because if we beat on them, or, kind of get after them or whatever because we missed a balloon or something, they may not want to give it their wholehearted best next time. So just keep our mentality strong for us and for them, and be ready to go win the next time, as Trevor Brazil would say.
What is it that you love about the sport? You might have a different perspective on this because you started so young. So what is it that's important to you about this sport and that makes you love it?
I do think the family aspect for me, but one of the things that I think at a younger age, I probably took a lot more for granted, but the windshield time that I got with my parents was unlike any other. Not very many other sports you get to share the same sport as a family and as competitors. My family and I got to have a lot of windshield time together, and all the memories made and laughs and hard times. We always had each other. And I do think that is something that made our bond so strong. And that is one thing that I miss, that I'm not shooting as much anymore, is that family time. And because we'd always encourage each other, also be each other's biggest competitors. But I think that's what drove us to have so much success, is because we could have all that for each other.
Speaking of your mum and dad, they both shoot at the highest level in this sport. They must come with different strengths. So what are the different strengths they each have that you've learned from them?
That is true. They do. We got into mounted shooting. We kind of joke that we kind of combined two sports. So growing up, my mom was barrel racing mostly. She's pro rodeoing, and we were going everywhere. I was in the Pee-wees at jackpots and stuff like that. But my dad was doing a lot of trap shooting, a lot of sporting clays, and going more that route. So we always joke that we combined the two sports in a sense, and we got to do it all together. But I would say my mom taught me a lot of my horsemanship, her love for horses, and always has. She's raised around horses, and she's always been a great horsewoman. And I think the opportunity to grow up watching her train horses and mules or donkeys or whatever she had in that month. She's always coaching other people, but I got to watch all of that, and that was like the greatest thing. Her working at home is because when I wasn't in school, or at a young age that I wasn't in school yet, I always got to see that, and I always got to be around her. And so I think I got a really cool opportunity to develop a feel on any horse I climb on, and really helped me with my horsemanship quite a bit. And then I think on my dad's side, my marksmanship for sure, shooting, raised around shooting and guns my whole life, and how to operate a firearm properly and respectfully. And so I got to grow up shooting a little bit of trap and skeet, and hunting, of course, and shooting at the shooting range. And I think my favorite thing that we practiced with our guns was we would throw a coin up straight up in the air, and we would shoot it with our pellet gun before it hit the ground above our head. Going back to Trevor Brazil's words, there's a lot more losses than wins. You miss the coin a lot more than you hit it. But if you could ever get to a point where you hit it more than you miss it, I think you shoot pretty well. That was always something fun that we did and still do. And so I think those two, they really, more specifically towards the sport of mounted shooting, those are some two things that they kind of taught me. But I think together they both have wonderful qualities that taught me how to be a well-rounded competitor, and they've always supported me in every win or loss. But overall, they're just really good people that have always shaped me, and every day in my character and how to be a good steward.
You've been doing a lot of breakaway since you left school. How, if at all, did shooting prepare you for that?
So I started breakaway roping when I came to college down here in Texas. So the last 3 years or so. But I think the two main things that it comes down to is probably horsemanship and, athletic ability. Between those two, and of course drive and desire, I think you can do just about any sport. But I do think the mental game ties back into this in any competitive sport. For breakaway, I do think it's huge. Breakaway is hard, and that too. You've tried it, isn't that right?
Yep. Yep.
So it's not easy in any way. But I do think the breakaway is a little bit tougher in that sense because it's so fast. So I kind of would flip it a little bit. I think the breakaway, being able to step away and rope for a little bit and then coming back to the shooting helped me more than anything. Just because I think, mounted shooting runs are a little bit longer, and you can make up time, you can cut corners, you can take some long shots in order to save time and get a little bit quicker. Whereas in the breakaway, you have 2 seconds. I think the current record is 1.4 seconds. And so at that point, you just gotta practice for perfection. But in a sense, you almost have to get your mental game so good where you can just react. And ultimately, you want your run to feel almost slow motion where you're just in control of every piece of the puzzle. So I think in shooting, just because it's a little bit longer, I think perfecting that attention span in 2 seconds, you're just reacting, whereas in shooting, you're able to control that a little bit more. But if you can make a 2 second run feel like an eternity, I think that's an art for sure. So I do think that when I got to come back to shooting, it almost felt easier. And granted, I've been shooting my whole life, and breakaway I just started, and so I think that it's probably more of a confidence boost than anything, being able to go back to something that is more like riding a bike after I've practiced it my whole life. I do think that mental game and being able to slow your runs down in your head where everything feels controlled, I think that helps. But of course, preparing me for the breakaway or shooting or whatever sport I get into, I do think having a good horse sure goes a long way for sure.
I'm going to ask some questions now that I ask everybody who comes on the podcast. So the first one is, what is your favorite shoot and why?
Oh, I think my favorite shoot, it's probably a balance of two, but Joe and April Secretary shoot at their place in Litchfield, Nebraska is probably one of my favorite ones. It is always great people, good food, really well-rounded shoot, very well run with a really good payback, and it's beautiful. We've always described it in the middle of a cornfield because it is, and it's just rolling hills of sunflowers and the corn that's taller than your head while you're sitting on your horse. It's just beautiful, and you can't ask for a better host at their house. Joe and April are wonderful people, and that's probably my favorite. Probably backed up by Estes Park. That's always a good spot. It feels like you're sitting in a postcard.
You're the first one to say Estes Park. You are not the first one to say the Secretary shoot. That one's come up a few times. But you are the first one to say Estes Park, which does surprise me, actually, because I agree. It's such a beautiful backdrop and such a unique backdrop that I would think that one would be more popular.
It's a fun one. There's good food, and not often that you wake up with an elk outside your trailer door. But they're both really good shoots.
What about your favorite pattern, and what tips do you have for running it?
This is probably more of a simple one, but probably the candy cane. It's fun, it's fast. I don't know if it's a tip for everybody, but I cut through 3 and 4, and the faster the better.
I actually like that one too, although I haven't done that one for a while. So thank you for reminding me of that, because I think I'm going to put that one on the list for practice. What about your favorite win? I mean, you must have had a ton of wins, and of course, you just took a huge world title. But is that your favorite win, or is there another one that strikes more of a chord for you?
I do think that one's probably towards the top of the list, but I think one of my favorite wins, I probably have two that sit at the top, but one of them is winning 1 and 2 with my mom at the 2021 Winter U.S. Championship for ladies overall and reserve overall. That was always cool, taking that win with my mom. And probably the other one was winning with Dawson Smith at the 2020 Eastern U.S. Championship in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We're both level 6s, but we both won on our Wrangler horses that we grew up on. And I do think that's a really cool win for both of us, but that's probably one of my favorites just because it holds a special place in our heart.
I'm sure. So what's next for you? You've done a lot already. You've done so much with shooting. You've just been getting into breakaway. What's next? What are you planning for the coming year and beyond?
I probably will aim my focus more towards roping. Of course, my big goals are making it to the American and the breakaway and winning. And then just like every little girl's dream, making it to the national finals and winning. And maybe by the time I make it, maybe it'll be in the Thomas and Mack. And then, maybe there's a chance I might go to a shoot or two and qualify for World next year and hopefully aim to win the world again.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me on Thanksgiving week. I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your mum and dad. Please say hello to them for me.
I will. Thank you very much for your time. Happy Thanksgiving.
I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And now we're counting down to Christmas and the New Year. Oh my goodness, time seems to go so fast. If there are balloon killers you would like to hear interviewed, please email me on balloonkillers@gmail.com. That's balloonkillers, all one word, @gmail.com.